Don't go away, hon, because first,
You're good now. You're live now.
we're live? Okay. We need Hung to come here. She's just so beautiful and awesome. Okay, actually, and hello everyone. And it's Hung that, organized this event, and it was her idea to, begin the gatherings that I've spoken about previous. So this is Hung, and she has provided the facility for this beautiful gathering, and hey, we're started. So many of you can begin having your gatherings and bringing the angels together. So we're on our way. So special thanks to beautiful Angel Hung. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm going to turn the show over to Rick because I'm not a camera girl, more behind the scenes.
You're a beautiful camera girl.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so yeah, we decided to gather tonight. We have a good crowd here, perhaps 30, I believe, and so we all get together. And what is it really all about? And well, each one has an inkling, that so many things have been happening in, the world as a whole, but individually. And we are in the times where so much magic is happening as well. And, all of you here, or most of you at least, something magical has happened, something different, but also something to let you know, that perhaps divinity and God is real. So, at least you've had something that happened to take you away from, perhaps being agnostic, wondering if God is real. So, at this point, we know that most of us that are here, most of you are watching, you had your own confirmations that it is so. So, with that respect, it's great to know that God is real, but then you have to ask, where do we take it from there, or why? And so just to jump back, for most of you, during your previous life here, the previous part of your life, deep inside you wondered if there's a purpose, what's your reason for being here? What do you have a mission, right? And you felt there was more to this, like just instead of going through a mundane existence of 9 to 5, getting up, go to work, come home, feed the children, get something to eat, go to bed. So, no, you said there had to be something more, and there is, and you know it, all of you. So having said that, that brings us to this now. So, what more is it? Well, bit by bit, you are being shown more of what it is. And it's more so the way we put it from divinity. It's on an individual level, because what has happened upon the planet is through religions and beliefs and these sort of things, they're all fundamental parts within religions. There are truths, but there's also, misconceptions that are in there to kind of hold you back. But when you're ready to go forward, you take the good things from everything you learn and you keep going forward. So it's not to degrade religions or any of that, because they are beneficial. It's just that where we're at, let's say we have outgrown that and we know more and we're going with that. So here we are going full ahead. So that gets us to this now, and about religions, and you take what you have learned from that, but there are many things being added, and these are things that are being added. It is magic, and each one of you is experiencing it to keep you interested in your own development and your connection with God, with the collective of angels, if you will, overall, and to expedite your progress, to expedite your progress in knowing more of who and what you are, your connection to the others, and again, you know, it's directly attached to your purpose, your mission of why you are really here. So, at this point, I'll just stop. Anyone wish to ask a question or any of that? No? Okay, well, that's great. So, I love that, you know, I'm just thinking about Facebook. I got so many questions on there I haven't answered, so this is a beautiful. Hey, Helen. Ah. And this is my great friend and another angel, Helen. So glad you made it.
Hi, Helen.
And
I would love to hear you talk about timelines, 2012.
okay, thanks, Linda. Timelines, an excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up. And before I begin there is no agenda for this. We create the agenda as we go with this meeting, and you know, that's what's so important about it as well, trusting the divine flow and let things happen, not trying to control them. And a perfect example of what just happened, what Linda brought up, is you know, about 2012 in the timelines. That is very important for me and others to touch on at this time. So it's very significant, it's right in theme, and it is the power of not controlling things and letting whatever you may call the universe, God, divinity, and angels control things in that way, and let it be directed that way. So great. So in 2012, I thought it was a knock. So in 2012, everything did change. You know, one of the indications, some of you may have been interested in the Mayan calendar, you know, saying the end of the world. One thing I can say is that, depending upon the perspective, that 2012 was the end of the old world. It was the end of so many things. And it's what catapulted many of you forward. And you will see that specific date show up in, I could probably go around the room here and ask each individual, did anything life-changing or put you in a new place or a new course, did that happen in the fall of 2012? Many will say yes. Some will say it began a little bit before that. I gotta get a drink. Ah, got it. Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Janet. I'm Janet Blair. Hi. Sorry. Very sorry.
So we're live now, and it's so great to have you join us. So with 2012, yes, a very important time on the timelines. And Linda, I don't wish to get into explaining timelines and all these things, but it was significant. One way to perceive it, but again, everyone goes with what feels right with you. It's so important to follow that. But in actuality, for most of you here tonight and most of you watching this, it was your separation from the dark facets of the planet having the control over you that they had. And what it did is it jumped you up above. There were many things that had happened that caused 2012 to come about, that complete change globally and humanity. And it was really where humanity and a dark side was leading everything. And to trying to draw on what I can actually say here with this. But let's just say most of you know that there was a difference since 2012. But in reality, you were set free from the control of the dark. And that's what allowed you to rise more on an individual basis into your divinity. That you began, receiving more information, seeing more angels, so many things. And, again, to each individual, you were being prepared for this time as well and going forward. So everything that happened with you happened for a reason. There are no coincidences. And there is a big thing going on. And the biggest thing going on is, we're here to clean up these timelines. What you see outdoors is not the only timeline. And, there's many of you that, you've experienced other things that you knew was, let's say that you knew this was not the only timeline, and you are correct. And, there are other dimensions, there's parallel realities, there's just so many things. It's much more than, from the human perspective than you ever thought. Everything you've seen on TV and the lines of fantasy and more, all of that those are actual realities, those are possibilities. So you're not restricted to these things. So 2012, very significant. It was a turning point, and it was also when many of you began to have your gifts enhanced and prepared for this time. So just a very important time. Anything else, Linda, with that? Seems like I'm missing some little part. I know I'm holding back on some things because for certain reasons. And, for those that don't know, I am connected to God, to counsel, and, for ones that don't understand that would seem grandiose, conceited, but those of you that know me, I do not hold back. I speak of what I'm allowed to speak. And also, I do not try to control anyone. This is a sharing thing with all. And what we do is what we know, we share, and we put it all together, and we keep going forward together. And we do keep getting stronger, and these gatherings are part of that, because of energy and the energetic exchanges that happen. But if you look at the most minute atomic structure, or atom, or molecule, quasar, if you look at that most smallest thing, in actuality, it is what everything is made out of. So the most smallest part of you is in this air is the same element, if you will, to try to keep it simple without. So what happens is that when you began to strengthen and understand that you are actually energy and everything else is energy, when you start to reconnect to that, well then you can be any part of that energy you wish. You can go to energetic form, you can be a part of this bowl here. You're not restricted. But what does restrict you is the timelines and frequencies and vibration. Because vibration dictates how everything is put together. Right here, right now, this bowl, it's held together by a vibration. It's what makes it what it is. And you, in this humanoid form, are held together by a vibration. It makes you what you are for now. But you're not restricted to that. And you that are watching and you that are here are well on your way to some of you already are some of the world's best magicians, but you're going to keep getting better. And it's the divine magic that you do. You're being given these gifts. And the mechanisms are in place that you would not be given such a prowess on the planet at this time of good white magic. You would not be given that if there was any harm to come with it. And in actuality, this is, you can, label it what you wish, but if I say white magic, that means good magic. Because there was dark magic out there. But what has happened is that in 2012, you've been lifted above dark magic. That let's apply a couple labels like 5D and 4D to gauge where black magic is at and where you're at. Black magic can only go to the upper echelons of the 4D of those timelines. That's where it has the power. Prior to 2012, you were down here. You were on 3D. 3D is where you were at then. So the darkness and the control over you was always there. You could not breathe. You were always also in your lives that, everything was so mundane. But in 2012, divinity flipped the tables and allowed you access up into 5D, and the dark were confined to 4D, the upper echelons. So you have many of the masses and humans that were not awakened. They're still down underneath that dark control. But however, they will also rise. But at this time, this is 5D and better, we have so many of you that have advanced there since 2012. So you actually, because of that, the dark has no power over you. Anything that is not morally and ethically good or correct, then it has no power over you. And so, because also it's no longer divinely supported, any of the dark. So the way governments operate, the way that anything operates upon the planet that is not foundationed in divinity to the respect of being good and to being, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyways, that didn't come. But anything that is not respectful of the individual and in their interests will implode. So, so with that, we keep rising up, and what part of what we're doing is disassembling this this 4D, this darkness, and allowing others to rise above it. So I kind of lost my train of thought there, but anyone want to? Christine,
Can
please.
you explain a little bit about the energy work that you do out of sacred sites?
Oh, okay. And have a drink here.
The question, can I say something? I have a question when you was talking about this dark magics. It's like, if they stop between 2004, no, you say all this stuff is stopped till 2014, so why I want to ask this question, because long time ago somebody told me whatever, oh, you have a black magic, that's why your life going up and down or whatever, but that was long ago before. So do that means after 2012, if there has a people that dealing with the black magic, so trying to do something black to someone else, so they probably stop, they can be that stronger?
Okay, Daniela, yes. Christine, you have a question. I'll get to that one just in later, and I'll address what Daniela brought up because it's connected to what I was saying, before. And so just quickly again.
So say that Well, I was a baby, and some lady was jealous of my mom that she has a baby and she can't have a baby, so they do something on me. And I've been having a very rough life, even with the marriages and stuff, whatever. So if you saying that after 2012, like that black magics and stuff, it's
Okay.
still off. That's what I
Thank
mean.
you, yeah,
Then-
and thank you, Daniela, because you got my train of thought, if you will, right back online where I kind of lost it there before. So again, you know, this is how the angelics work out, that we have whatever we need in the right time. So Daniela come in with this very important question that's linked. Okay, so I got to stop rambling before I lose my train of thought again. So with this,
Seem like
Yeah.
all these people there say, because I'm from Bulgaria and we have like people they call gypsy or they call that old ladies and stuff. So these old ladies or whatever, if someone went to the picture to them and they whatever they do and your life goes all the kind of a bad direction or you're not happy all the time, this believings in that old style that I have it from that time. So
okay.
when you was talking about the 2012 and after that whatever the waking, more people waking or whatever, and that black magic, it's no more stronger. That was my question.
Yes.
So should I don't be scared no more from that myth or that things that I've been here many years ago, because now I'm 41 already, so it's
So-
been quite a long time.
Mhm. So, okay, to answer this, yes, the dark magic no longer has a control over you. And, but since 2012, some have experienced, you know, what they call bad situations, perhaps being attacked by demons and these sort of things. But since 2012, any of you that's watching this or that are here tonight, any of that was divinely inspired and orchestrated, and it was done in such a way. It was not the dark that did this since 2012. So any that has had what they'd call any dark encounters, what it actually was to expedite your progress and your process. You were introduced divinely by some dark things to help you overcome your deepest fears, and also to create the experience attached with that darkness for you to more quickly, again, overcome and address the fears. Because with your progress going forward as a divine being, part of that process is changing the polarity of your energy that's in your body. And any fear is negative energy. Anything negative is negative. And, you know, your belief is so important as well, because you create from your beliefs. So you've been introduced to many aspects of the dark, you know, and in some cases you're showing that if you keep thinking that there is darkness or negativity that has power over you, well, what you're actually doing is empowering it, and it will stay that way as well. And so there were many things going on with that. But the main thing is to get rid of the fear is why a lot of these come up. Because when you get rid of the fear, then you begin to empower yourself with light and positivity and divinity, which begins to build up your energetic fields, and it changes the polarity to positivity. Now, and then when you look at this, so you now have an energetic field that's this big, you may think, but if you continuously work on that and, you know, make it positive, get rid of the fears, it's actually growing. And also it's affecting everyone that you come into contact with. And your energy is just not confined to your to what you may call your auras. It's not. there are streams that go out there, you know, when you get on the phone, you call someone, you're sending energy. It's always happening. But what you wish to do, because of what you are, I call you angels, because that's what you are. You wish to be putting out the most valuable, highest energy to all, and you have the ability to do it. And for anyone that doubts that, well, just test it. If you're still able to get mad, just go and get mad at someone and watch all the negative things it sets off. But then also, you know, be good to someone, be very kind, and watch the after effects, you know, open a door for someone. But then that one you open the door, you know, for, they may express their gratitude with saying thank you, but let them go a little bit further and watch the next person they come to, how they interact with them. They will interact with them in a much kinder, better way. So, you know, that's an example of how much you influence everything that happens on the surface of the planet. So dark was still there. It's still here for others that are getting up to certain levels, because they need to confront the fear. They need to understand more of the dynamics, how the fear energy works, on how it was controlling, so that there's what perhaps a stage you could say where you reach the master, where no longer the fear controls you, but you're actually controlling the fear and eradicating it from the whole planet, which is part of the purpose and mission to each one's extent to what they receive to work with it. But it's also happening on a collective, because everyone you come into contact with, you are creating that change, and the good change. But we are also, as rewards for doing this, and for you to know it's real, you get your confirmations, you get the magic, you get your reappearing numerical sequences, 1111, you know, and these are reminders to let you know that this is real, and that there really is no coincidence here, that things are not random. And it's to let you know that you're part of the things that are not random. You're part of this power. But also the thing is, with the masses that are here, the full population of the planet, you know, most of those do not see it, because it's not for them at this time. There are, you could refer to the angels as the League of Angels that are here, you know. Many things have been prophesized in that respect, which is true, and each one of you know that it's true to the extent of knowledge that you have thus far. So these things are very real. They are your confirmations, they are your indications, and each one of you follow what you're given, because you now know that everything does indeed happen for a reason, that nothing is random. So you follow this, and you put your full trust in God, or whatever higher power you may have, and the good higher power. You put your trust in there when you're ready, and very quickly, you know, when you let go of fears, you are showing magical things, and you know they're very real. And you know, on the Real Angels page, but not only that, all of us speaking and interacting, you know, we're sharing all the magical, impossible even experiences that we have, and it's very real. So you're showing, as part of your rewards as well, these magical experiences, but it doesn't stop there, and we keep going with it. Oh, okay, now we got to get to this energy thing, Christine, thanks. So, you know, there's quite a variation in the spiritual. You could say, yeah, we're spiritual, yeah, you know, it's spirit, and we're part of that. So that's good, but we don't want to label it and stereotype it and restrict it, but yeah, that's okay. Let's go with spiritual. So many have are assigned divinely. Actually, this is what's happening, you know. Even though many of you may do different things, some of you may do Reiki healing, you know, some of you may be yoga instructors, some may do energy work, working with the planet. You know, all of these things are very real, and they are part of something very big, and also it's a part of preparation for what's to come. The divine plan, and it is in play, and it does have priorities since 2012. It governs everything that happens here, and that's why more of you are coming to find out what has happened in your past was no coincidence. And you know, some of you, no matter how hard you tried to, let's say you were financially strapped to do something for yourself, bang, you were always blocked, because it happened for a reason, to keep you in a certain place upon the surface, and also a certain place in time, and also to assure where you were at for who you would come into contact with and who you would not. So it's all by grand design of which you are a part. So having said that, getting to what Christine asked, you know, it's so pertinent as well that you have like Katie Indicrow. I love her, and many of you know of her as well. She does a lot of energetics, and part of this is what we do, and I also do it, and I've been doing it for several years per instruction from divinity, is we need to go. Well, let me back up a little bit before I do this and give you a little bit of background on why it's so important. Now, what I'm about to say, again, you put it, some of you may have heard it, most of you may not have. What actually happened in 2012, the old Gaia, the old Earth as she was, she actually entered because of the ley lines, energetic lines upon the planet, which have different charges. They dictate a frequency that sustains certain events and certain things from happening. And the darkness that was here, the way that they would control the things on the planet is to keep everything negatively charged. So if you look back into the ancient histories that you have available to you, plus the new things being uncovered, you will see that, for example, many sacred sites have been built on certain parts of the planet and on the Gaia, but that was not by chance as well. They knew about the energy, and they knew how it affected things. But let's say they looked at it at a small scale, but at the big scale, all energy and the polarity, it kept Gaia in a certain place in space. It kept her tilted on the right proportion to the sun for heat, in a line with the galactics. It kept everything perfect in her revolutions, everything in sync. So what happened prior to 2012, because of the destruction to Gaia and the extensive mining of minerals, every mineral deposit, when it's in the ground, when it's in situ, it has a charge. It has a magnetic and it has electric charge. So, and they are placed all around Gaia in certain places. Also, your oil has a charge, and these charges are what was responsible for keeping her in a certain tilt towards the sun, the speed of her revelations, and around the sun. So what they did, because mining and these sort of things was the straw that broke the camel's back, and Gaia and the planet, all the energetics, she started wobbling, and it was just mass destruction is what happened. And so So having said that, that's why it's so important. What we're doing now is with Gaia, and this is happening on the higher levels, and perhaps a lot just we're not ready for that now, and perhaps you don't understand it, but that is what happened. And what we're doing now is we're integrating certain energies, changing the polarities of what we have here now, because since 2012, there was still ongoing extraction of global resources in the forms of minerals and oil and gas. So to further stabilize Gaia and to keep her in this temporary position where she's at until we get done, we do energy work. And we get called to go into areas where, let's say it's negatively charged. You know, one of the old practices of the dark is waging wars as well in areas, because there's negativity and there's fear attached with that. And energy, it's never destroyed, it's always there, and it affects everything. So, you know, that was one of the tactics by them. So what you have now, though, is you have the light coming in, changing the polarity, and tweaking things up to keep everything stable. All the while, there are, let's say, the beautiful angels as well, is raising humanity up to catch up to where they should be in, let's say, the universe and in this timeline. Because actually, she was, at 2012, Gaia was about 116 years behind where the human civilization should have been. It was suppressed. Since 2012, we're at this point perhaps 20 years only behind. It's speeding up. So let's say in the matter of a few days, we could be right there where she's caught up. And part of this could be your new technologies. Very quickly, everything can change in the blink of an eye, because we are at that level right now where our interactions and our connections to the energy, which dictates what happens here, is very compatible. You are all part of it. We are all connected together. So we right now are actually steering what happens on the planet. You may have your excuse me, your governments and all this things, you know, still running, but actually they have to answer to us, to what we're doing. It has to be in the best interest of the people, and it has to be good. So in order for that to happen as well, I'm just rambling, leading into one thing after another, Christine, but thanks for that, and you know, it's important for the energetics. But also for any of you, you know, that may be questioning things, if you start looking in your other news, you're going to start seeing the signs that, yes, you know, the government's, the old world's the way it was, it's all imploding. And a lot of that's being done through disclosure. You're being shown the truth. Your 9/11 thing, you know, many are not accepting what they were told that is, and you know, they are going with something else, which they know to be true, because things with the media, with governments, you're not showing the truth. A friend of mine, and very good timing for this, he just told me that I believe it was an NDP member in Alberta or whatever. She just, does anyone know her name? I forget it.
Notley?
Pardon?
The premier?
The NDP lady that they put out of the caucus, or out of her party there. She wrote something up, but anyways, I didn't have the time, or I didn't take the time to read it. But it's a prime example of showing how you have a pure divine one that is the people's interests in mind, that is, you know, part of the government trying to do the right thing. But actually what happened, she was shut right down, and they told her, no, you can't do that, and no, we're not going to do this. You know, so very quickly she learned that the government is not what what it's supposed to be, right? You know, so, but what's more important is that, you know, she's a professional. To be a politician, and so what she's bringing out now to the public is she's given the story. So, but she's not the only one. There's more and more, and it's coming all the time. And again, you just look at your news that they will put out, and you can see many indications of this. Another, I believe he was an MP or whatever he was in Ontario, you know, brought up, just to keep it simple, he was in to tell the government, you're robbing the people, something about the water, I forget what it is, I look at so much, and he come up and he said, you know, to the government, you guys, you're lied, and you're robbing the people much money here on the utilities, and they shut him down and asked him to be removed, and I actually put a post out about it. I said, you know, here is a representative, you're a politician, there's supposed to be a representative for the people, but here's a clear indication that they're not. Every time they stood up for the people, you know, and to be sincere and protecting the public interest, actually they're shot right out very quickly. So, you know, after a while, you don't need to see too much of that to know that, yeah, you know, governments and things are not for the people. It's actually the control over the people and keep you enslaved and keep you into, you know, a control, but a control by the money is their biggest tool at controlling everyone. And, you know, that leads us into other things that I speak of. And, you know, I've been putting out more so lately that part of the reason you're here is to break the control of money on people, because as long as money controls people, they're not advancing. That, you know, the old ways of what is still there intact is still controlling them. Now, I know it's so easy to say that, but once you entertain that, the ones of you that are listening to me that are able to manifest, you know it's true, you know that you are tapped into a higher energy, that, and also because you are part of divinity, an energy that is put on the planet at this time, which is fully supported, you are always provided for. But you are learning how to get rid of the things that are blocking that providence to you. And the main thing, again, I go back in a circle, is fear. Have no fear. Fear is aggression. Fear is being afraid. Fear is also impatience. It's irritation. And what you will find with each of you, that to get into your purity and be attached with the divine stream that's happening, that you've got to get rid of these fear aspects, and it empowers you much more. Your manifestations can and will be instantaneous, and you'll be amazed at your own prowess. And many are being learned and educated in this at this time. The ones that are awakened, you know, enough to know that this is so. So it doesn't stop. If you're manifesting little things now, you're allowed. Once you earn more of your discipline and your knowledge of how energetics really work and sustain these realities we're in, you are going to be creating bigger things. You're going to be creating events that are good. So there's much more fun and exciting things to come. And also, you know, at these levels, when you begin to do that, you no longer need any confirmation, because your results are they're blatant for you to see, you know, your effects you're having. So we are in these magical times, and this is what we're doing, and divinity rules here now. It does not matter what remnants of the dark are still in play, it's all imploding. So you are in full transition mode, sorry. So you know, keep doing the right things, keep your vibration high, which is very important, because that dictates what you're going to experience. So to keep your vibration high, you know, keep happy all the time, keep the good things, change the mentality. Let no negatives come in there. You got to train the brain too with this. But again, it's very simple. Just keep positive all the time. And if in reality to you now, nothing is bad. It's only a perception, because nothing is bad, because you have the prowess to flip everything to good by changing the polarity of it. Learn the lesson very quickly. No, it's not bad. If something bad happens to you, what you class as bad, there's lessons there. So very quickly observe it from a neutral state. Do not let it control you by putting you into fear and doubt and in a slump. Know that there's a lesson there to learn. Observe it neutrally and take that, what you learn from it, to assist others with the same thing, to assist them forward. Oh. I get 2 waters.
We just manifested that fast.
Thank you, Greg. You took the words right out of my mouth, brother. You're connected with the collective and with the telepathy that goes with that. And that leads us perhaps into what I'll say next. Right on. That's the way it goes.
I was just the middleman too in this.
Perhaps you're much more than what you think.
Yeah.
Which we all are, yeah. So, you know, with there's so many gifts with this, and the telepathy, there is an overall telepathy happening that, you know, many of you may be oblivious to, but you're part of it. And we use the term the collective consciousness because, you know, this is also with the collective consciousness and with this telepathy, there is also your synchronicities, which is so beautiful. And, you know, this is also part of your telepathy and your inner knowing, your intuition. It's actually all tied together, which is so beautiful. But it will also create things, and it's part of your manifestation. But what many of you may find is that let's just say some of the higher channelers that are channeling from the etheric realms, you know, what you will find, and Amanda Lawrence, I love her, she's awesome. If any of you know her, I know many of the viewers do, and she will receive, you know, the same messages that I do, sometimes slightly different in perspective, but, you know, it's the same thing. And for me, I don't follow like any of the other channelers because they're doing their things to their groups, but occasionally I do just check in to see what's going on. And it's so beautiful when I do, I see that, yep, they got the same message as well. So what you see is a telepathy, that you see one's putting out the same messages as well. And this is going to become, you know, more, don't wish to say intense, more enjoyable by each, you know, for every bit of inner work you do, which was so important, you know, you bring on more of your gifts, and telepathy is very real. But now a lot of these gifts as well are, it depends on the overall atmosphere and frequency you're in and the vibration and what timeline you're on. So the higher you keep your vibration, higher timeline you keep on, the stronger your gifts are. And essentially that's how it works. So we got it touched on the telepathy. Thanks, Greg.
And you didn't have to say a word.
No, I didn't, but I guess it drew me to the next topic.
Okay, you have another one?
Sure. So back to timelines, 2012 was obviously something. And then the next big one, I imagine, could you speak on what happened with timelines in the fall of 2016? And so with the elections in the States and with the government, what might have changed then? Because that was kind of a big deal and unexpected, right? Current administration there.
Well, yeah, I will come fully open and say this, and the ones that hate Trump that follow me when I support him, so you're going to love this one. But again, you heard it all before. very significant with Trump and this overall ascension, you know. Yes, I support Trump because I know he is of the light. And also what I'm given, he's a temporary instrument that is there, but he is also a divine soul that chose to do this. And so it was very significant, but actually what was happening prior to 2016, you know, the elections were being rigged, as they always are. Even, you know, you take Canada, and even I think, yeah, some of that come out in the public, you know, about in Quebec and about election fraud, you know, and Harper and these things, but, you know, they quickly squash it and say, oh, we're addressing this. But what they're actually doing is, you know, they're showing you that there is election fraud, but by they're diverting your attention by saying we're addressing it. In actuality, they're giving you a small segment saying, you know, to the public that we're addressing it, but in actuality, it's all rigged. And so it's so cool. But getting back to Trump, very significant, 2016. So you're going into the election, and you know, the light is all knowing as well. So there were things by the remnants of the dark left there to assure a win for like Hillary, right, Clinton, and so there were specific with certain. I know I was given the information at that time. Like there was a, let's say there was a covert divine operation going on to assure that Trump got there as well. And so, yeah, there was divine interference. And I'll say that because, yes, there was. Because the dark, again, attempted to keep everything hidden. But the main thing, what the dark wanted to keep hidden, is what Trump is speaking about now, what JFK, John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States in, you know, 1961 to his assassination in 1963. And thank you so much, Greg, for bringing this up, because it is so important and it is connected to the ascension and why we are here. So with John F. Kennedy, he became president in 1961. In one of his speeches that he did between 61 and 63, is he come out, and in that speech, he told the public, he told the people that there was a much bigger group upon the planet that was controlling everything through the money, through the greed. And, you know, he spoke of the secret societies. That's what they entitled the infamous speech, you know, or famous speech, the secret societies. But what JFK was doing then, and at that same time, he had problems with the press, the mainstream media, which was controlled by the money people. See, every government upon the planet is really just a puppet to something much bigger, the greed and the wealth and the money, which keeps which kept the whole control of the planet. We have broken that. It's shattering, so it no longer exists where we're at. So I have to use the past tense and say that it did have power. But in 2016, so what you're seeing now with Trump, what you saw with JFK, he tried to get rid of a Federal Reserve, and I don't wish to get too much into that, but I mean the Federal Reserve was, let's say, owned by banks, owned by the greed that would lend money to a country. And what John F. Kennedy did is, you know, he knew what was going on, and he was in a place of power. So he was, let's say, perhaps one of the first, let's say one of the first people in a position of power as a president, prime minister, to openly tell the people what was happening. So it was so significant, and it's tied into this ascension and this time. But you know what John F. Kennedy did, he revealed, and he said it pretty plain to the people that, you know, that there is that higher thing controlling everybody and the governments, and it's not of the people. And John F. K. said, "I am here for the people," and I show that to you. So he tried to get rid of the Federal Reserve. He started to try to base, let's say, a currency on silver and other things, to appease that situation coming into effect where the U.S. did not have to rely on bankers that actually controlled the money. They controlled the stock markets, the currencies, all the financial system. So JFK was, trying to break away from that and to actually assist the people and showing them what was there. So with that, very quickly, JFK, he showed to people that there were secret societies, that there was the elitists, the money people. He also showed that the press, and he made an address, several times to the press, telling them to report the truth, stop manipulating the truth to the people. This is what John F. K. did. And also he signed the execution order, to get rid of the Federal Reserve, a controlling factor of the people by using the money. So now we have 2016, we have Trump, he's openly saying to the media, telling the media that you're the fake news, and that all the alternative news sources that were saying all of these things, like, about Podesta, about Pizzagate, about the pedophile rings, that first started out, all of these things, it was labeled fake news. And because the mainstream media, their agenda was to keep it under wraps because it's part of this same elitist groups that controls the governments and the money to keep everyone enslaved. So, the mainstream medias are owned by these elites. So the elite dictate what the mainstream people put out to the public, which is illusion and non-truth. So at the same time, divinity over the last several years, but more so over the last several years, have been providing people with the truth to get out to this alternative media to have it ready for these times. And to give the truth out there, the truth about 9/11 and the other things that I just said. And it cannot be refuted nor denied now, even by, the big mainstream medias, the governments. They can no longer cover it up because the public awareness plus all the documentation to support it, it's all very real and it's here. So, we are in such amazing times in respect to that. Yes?
Can I ask a question just about the secret societies and just my personal experience?
Indeed.
They're not personal as in this, but in my astral, my sleep time. I get shown a lot of secret societies and the cabal and rituals and sacrifice.
So these were very real things, yes, yeah.
But is it shown to me to transmute that energy? Or why am I being shown things? It's horrific, what I see.
Indeed, yes.
Like, I'm just like shaking right now, thinking.
For you, Jennifer, where you're at, and we can address this, later too, but for the sake of everyone in the audience, Jennifer is being shown, real things that have happened, but she's also being shown the possibility of things, and she's being shown this through her gift, so that also she can change it by mentally as well, starting to use her mental divine abilities to flip the vision she's receiving, which is bad, so that it does not occur. and this is immense prowess with what I'm saying, but you all have access to this, and actually you all, you know, some of you are doing it now, and more of you will be doing it in the future, that you have, see, you are not restricted to time nor space. That's only an illusion while you're here having the human experience. Many of you are not restricted to that, so you can go to different times. So let's say if you have a vision of something bad occurring, you can go there and actually change the outcome of that. Now, I suggest with the transmuting of the energy, there's new techniques will be, well, they've already been introduced, that you're not actually need to transmute this anymore and think that you've got to cure old karmic bad things. That is, at the levels and stage you are at now, that is actually primitive to do it that way. You no longer need to transmute the energy by taking the actual negative energy into you. You do it in a more efficient way with the mind and change it across time and space, if that makes sense. And yeah, Jen, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just like, I understand that it's being exposed right now, and more so, and, you know, I don't want to, and I don't intentionally mean to dabble in that world, but like, you know, I'm part of my language here, but I am a pocket system type of person, and a lot of that's coming through and showing, I'm sorry, there's a top here.
It's cool.
Sorry.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
But even like, you know, I message Hung almost like a couple times a week with what is shown to me through my dream time, and like DNA manipulation and the secret societies and the elites and how they're manufactured. Like it's, and I don't intentionally, like, I don't think that I'm intentionally trying to attract these things, but these just keep coming into my realm. And I oftentimes don't know what to do with this information because I don't want to dwell in that, because I don't want to give it more energy. And sometimes people be like, well, you know, how come you're seeing that anyways? And then, you know, you have this dark energy to you if you're bearing witness to these. It's like, no, I'm like being shown, like I'm way in the back over here.
Exactly.
And I see the circle and I see the ritual and I see everything that's going on. And it's bloody frightening sometimes. Like, no, not sometimes. It's like,
It's very real, and we know that.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
seen the apocalypse and the end of time.
I'm gonna take a break for a second.
I just see it as timeline collapsing, or, you know, we're gonna be at a timeline where the present.
Maybe that's what is more collapsing that time. Like,
Yeah, like, what was a reality or pretend reality will, you know,
Did you see
is
something
like
like the end of the world is gonna come or something? Did you see something like the end of the world is coming or something stuff, you know?
well, I see both sides of it though, because I
Oh,
see
okay.
the incredible darkness, but then I've seen, you know, the great solar flash and how that's gonna happen, and then I've seen, you know, our ships landing and being on the transition team of welcoming them here, and knowing my gift here is also to help, you know, ensure that humanity is ready for this moment. So I get snippets, but it's in my dream, like it's like, is
It's
this
like
real?
reality for you more than
Totally,
the
but
right now,
that's-
whatever,
and
when you
that's
wake
what
up.
it is, and that's my reality, and sometimes I just don't know how, because
Can I interject?
Is that like past life?
The thing is, you have to understand is once you're on that divine path, once you understand that you're here to help other souls, that's being shown to you to empower that side. It's not being shown to you so that you harness that energy or so that you become one with that energy. It's being shown to you so that your positivity can shine brighter. You understand?
yeah,
So it's almost more fuel in your tank.
right.
So you can't ever look at it that it's a negative thing that I'm a part of, or I'm being shown this because I, you know, whatever that is. You're being shown that so that you can use that to empower yourself to then shed that light outward. So it's almost a charging phase. You know what I mean? Because anything that is negative has an equal side positivity.
Right, 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 right.
at it as, you know, a bad thing. You're being shown these things. It's a gift that you're being shown these things. You know what I mean? It's not a gift that you use to become fearful of stuff.
No.
It's something that you use to then, when you wake up out of your, you know, astral dreams, to bring that forward into your physical life here. It doesn't mean you have to go and share those things. Those things exist.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Even worse things exist. You know, not even speaking of what this planet is. But you can't ever let that slow you down, and can't ever let that bog your brain down with that negativity, you know? And it's comes as another test as well, you know? How well are you able to lead your life here on this planet, knowing the evil that is amongst you? You know what I mean? So it's an empowerment thing. It's not a empowerment of fear.
I also wonder if they can see you when you're there with them. If they see you as a bright, glowing angel there, and it stops it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like
The lights.
in your
That she's actually there in the future, stopping it in.
Oh, yes, and those, yeah, you can actually do that, and this is part of your thing. See, with any of your gifts, and with any of your gifts, it's dependent upon your belief. And very simply, if you don't believe in magic, you don't see it or you can't do it. So you also got to have that belief, and you have to integrate that belief without doubt that you can do it. So you can, even though if you try something, it doesn't appear like you had results, you keep trying and keep strengthening it. And also, your magic always works. There are times when you think that it does not. It's because it was divinely overruled, because you are governed by divinity, something much higher above us that you are attached to. You are down here as the ground crew, thanks Dad. And so that's what we are, the ground crew. But you know, there are certain laws that you're not to know everything while you're here as well, because we influence so many things. And to just get right to the point, you cannot at this time be allowed to know everything, because it's going to change everything that you do, and that's so important. And I can say this is not the first time any of you have been on this timeline as well. we are changing things. Your deja vu is a good clue to part of that, and I won't go into detail too much with that. But yeah, you have so much prowess, and thank you, Chris, for speaking up there. I missed, you know, some of what you were saying, but right on, brother. You're right there.
Close.
Hey, good stuff. You know, we all work together like that, and you know, it propels each other forward so much quicker, and expedites this process of getting your individual power. And you know, not only is this about the whole of us, it's also about each one of you individually and your connection to divinity, and also your connection to your own mission and purpose here. No one can tell you what your mission or purpose is here. Only your connection to divinity, or if another one tells you and it resonates that feels right, then you can go with it. But the last thing, you do not want to be led astray by just thinking that someone comes up to you and says, you know, something that you are, you know, an aspect of Saint Germain or whatever, for example. The thing is, you may consider that in the brain, but if you don't feel that in the heart, don't go with it at all. You know, it may be true, but wait until things resonate. When I say resonate, we mean when you actually feel it in your heart to know it's true. So you trust that heart. But for many of you, at this point, your heart is now connected with your brain, that when you receive thoughts, you can trust that it is true, because it's also connected to your intuition, that you know when one would attempt to lie to you or when one lies to you. You now know that, your intuition, has strengthened and is connected to now your brain and your heart, which is making you an even more powerful being in your own life, in your own daily 4D life or whatever. So you are empowered. But again, your empowerment is up to each one of you, how much you are empowered. And it's also with your beliefs. The more that you believe what your heart tells you to believe, what resonates, the stronger you become with that as well. So this is not, some of the old labels and what the dark ones like to use. This is not a cult, as you can see. It's everything opposite. It is you, being yourself, doing what is morally and ethically correct, and you're not imposing yourself upon anyone. It's open to those that are ready to come to it. And we don't drink any Kool-Aid because there is no Kool-Aid. So, not for us because, we see past those rose-colored glasses, whatever cliche or adage or metaphor you wish to use. This is authentic. This is true, and for you, each one of you, it's true. And you just keep building with it and let go of all the doubt and say, hey, God is very real. And you say, hey, yeah, I am part of this divinity because look at all the proofs I've been showing what's been happening around me. So, just get rid of the doubt and let's keep going forward. We're not given all of the plan forward. Some of you, you with your gifts, you do see premonitions of the futures and the past. Just keep your good, positive future ones in mind. Anything that's negative, say, if you're showing a vision, nope, we don't include that in our realities going forward. Push it out of your mind. Stay focused on the good and the intent for the good of all. And that is so important in any of your creations, any of your manifestations that you do. You always want to seed it with the intent for the good of all, which wipes out greed or selfishness, any negativity associated with those lower dimensional acts and reactions. You want to get that out. And you will find, once you get it out and you fully surrender to what you are in your connection to God, your gifts are just going to become so much more powerful, and you're going to find you have more gifts. So this brings me perhaps to free will. I'm going to be right to the point. You do not have total free will here at this time because we are still restricted to these timelines. And my idea of free will is being your full powerful self to transcend all the dimensions and all of the magic. But what you will find is that, for instance, if I wanted to create a bottle of water in my hand here right now, it didn't come. But I know I can do it. It's just that I'm not allowed on these lower timelines. So again, you wait with it, but you trust it, and you always believe it. But you can see our free will, no water come there. And I'm a powerful magician, but that's not allowed to come here, especially at this time. And, so also it shows you that you don't have full free will yet. But you do have free will to make the choices and to make the right and good choices. And so you follow all of those things that are in line with doing the right thing, doing the good thing. And that empowers you and it empowers the other.
I think on this timeline, free will is expressed as how you experience the incoming stimulation. That's the only elasticity of free will. So it's just like if you had a moment come at you, your free will in that moment is how you choose to perceive it. And that's the restricted part of this timeline versus what everyone thinks of freedom, where it's just like with this experience. That's my free will. And then it's just like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Or is this just a thing?
By choice, yes, indeed. So you do have the choice, yes, in the free will to turn any of those experiences around to the best benefit, best way they can benefit you. Yeah, you have the free will, you know, in those respects. So I guess, you know, well, I don't guess, I know why I brought up that subject, because I wish to clarify when I say you don't have free will, I'm talking about at the end of the day with the big thing. But as you just expressed, Hung, and thank you so much, you know, that you do have the free will to get you to the bigger free will. You have the free will to make the choices. And yeah, the way you perceive things, you can perceive things as bad, or you have the free will, the choice to take everything from them and know that there is no bad, that everything is actually good, and that it's the experience. But you can also control to a degree what is put before you, and you do that by, when you get to the point that you say nothing's bad and you're manifesting, bad things are not going to appear before you because they're not energetically supported, and you're not attracting them through the laws of attraction and you know, other things. So therefore they cannot exist when you reach that point. And you get there, you know, by doing everything that resonates with you to make you stronger energetically to do that. And you'll receive your own confirmations. Once you know that anything bad or negative can't control you anymore, you don't have those situations. But if you rarely do, then, you know, I'll take me for example. I have no negativity, but let's say I'm driving Betsy along the road and I break down. Okay, well that's not bad, because automatically I know, I say, okay, Dad, there's someone I got to meet here, or you know, or I'm being stalled. So, you know, there's always that divine reason. So nothing's bad. So then you say, okay, get ready. There's something happening, and there is a reason for it. So you know, very quickly. So then you accept every experience that happens as perhaps a guidance mechanism, which it really is. There is no bad. And you just got to wait, you know. For instance, perhaps I broke down because I couldn't be to some place at a certain time. So it's divinely assured that I'm at the right place, always at the right time. And that's with each one of you. You know, for instance, you were getting ready to go somewhere to a show and things kept happening. You were going to want to go to see a movie. Things kept happening. You couldn't get there. Well, it's because you weren't supposed to be there. So you can get upset about it. You can resort to acting fearful and remaining in a gloomy mood and affecting everything you touch and everyone you come into contact with, or you can just readily accept it very quickly. Oh well, wasn't supposed to go. I'll do something else. Automatically, any negativity and fear with it is gone. You just changed everything that is going to happen. You accepted it, and you're prepared to be guided where you're going to be going next in your next few minutes or what have you. So everything is a guidance mechanism as well. So that again is why nothing is bad. Switch the mentality. Say no. No, I'm controlling the show. This is not bad. This is good. And I'm going to find the ways it's good, you know, and learn from it. And, you know, after you look at the ways that it's good, you've taken the knowledge from it and how it works. So then, really, if you understand it, there's no need for it to reoccur, and you have mastered it. So, can we take a break? Or hold it, go ahead.
I was going to ask, can you talk more about the manifestation process, and actually you can give us more guidance on what to do. I tried to manifest the flowers to a friend, and as far as I know, it hasn't happened. So
Not yet, perhaps.
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. With the manifestation, keep trying them, because there's a couple things that allows for your manifestations to occur. It's your timing also of putting your manifestation out there. Many of you know when you're feeling high that it's high vibratory times. Those conditions then are ripe to test it by putting little manifestations out there to occur. And, you know, as I said before, many of you, when you are ready, you are granted little confirmations out of manifesting little simple things first. So you are given that opportunity, and what prevents that from happening may be a little bit of doubt, a little bit of fear again. So what you do is you do everything that you know that is in line with manifesting, with controlling the energies that are responsible for it. So you purify that to its most powerful, and you keep trusting it and keep testing it. Now, if it doesn't occur, as I said, just quickly go and know that it's not allowed at this time. But don't stop trying, because each time you try that, you are strengthening also that ability and the way that you will manifest in the future. So I always suggest, don't stop trying, don't give up. It is very real. And, you know, also with that, if you tried to manifest and it didn't occur, you know, connect with others that manifested as well, and, you know, ask them, how did you do it? Like, what are the tricks? Do you have any little tips? You know, and each of you work together like that and keep going with it. But also, again, it's very important that the energetics and the overall vibration dictates what happens. So just because you didn't manifest today, that does not mean you're going to do it in a day or so's time. Just stick with it, and it is coming, and you will do it. And another thing with manifesting, keep it very short and concise. Do not, for example, if you want an ice cream, do not just be open for the ice cream to arrive whatever way. Do not have the thought in your mind how it will arrive, because the moment that you do that, have the expectation of how it will arrive, you actually restrict it and alter it, that for it to arrive to you, there's only one way it can. It's the way you expected it. So what this does then, it excludes the universe providing it in other ways as well. So you're actually blocking it. So very quickly, the best way of manifesting something, just say, you know, I want a bottle of water, right? But it didn't come yet, right? But I know it works. But just do it that way. Keep it simple. Have no expectation on how it will come. But I'll have to say, I did. Yeah, we got that water. Thank you.
You're good.
See? So it didn't come in my hand, but hey, it's right here. I got what I wanted. So have no expectation on it, but trust it. And that's where the magic comes as well at times like that. So
What
certain
about-
things, yeah. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Linda.
what about focusing on the feeling you want to have from that? Like joy, like just focus on the feeling you want to have.
And that too, yes, yeah, because what you're adding is, you know, a little bit of the love and the polarity to it, and you're energizing it a little bit more. Exactly, yeah. And you know, with this, there is really no wrong way to do this. You know, there are individual ways in which you manifest. It's what feels comfortable with you and what you develop as well for the future. So, you know, there's a course of learning how to do it, and refining it to make it unique for you, your best way as well. So if you, for example, if you're finding, well, I asked for an ice cream, but when you asked for it, you were thinking that, someone would pick you up, take you for an ice cream. Well, you now know, don't restrict it, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you might say, I want an ice cream, and look and say, no, it didn't come, and then all of a sudden you'll get a thought in your head, oh, I may as well go down, deep freeze and get some ice cream out and have one. But if you stop for a minute, you'll realize that you manifested your ice cream. It just was not the way you had expected it. So don't have any expectations either.
You can't be selfish though too, right? I know from my experiences that just even saying, I would like an ice cream, it's not gonna happen. You just have to have faith that, let's say your friend needs an energy boost, and you manifest that they start being filled with this positive charge and this positive energy for their own good and for their family's good and their friends' good, then that's going to happen to them. And you just have to have faith that when you need the ice cream, without even asking for it, it's going to be there.
Yeah, and thank you, Chris. And you brought up another very important point. You will find also your manifestations, if they are not for yourself, and if they're for someone else, that they will happen much quicker and work much faster as well. Because, as Chris brought up, that important aspect.
Conrad, close.
Or Conrad, sorry, Conrad.
We're not our names.
As Conrad brought up, you've got to take that selfish aspect out of there as well, minimize it. So very important, Conrad. Thank you.
Should we take a break?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
everyone take a 15-minute break? Especially you, Chris.
I think
What's your name?
Exhausted.